Hey, hope you're doing well. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can forecast for Q4, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday so you can spend as much as possible until you hit diminishing returns, maximizing profit and minimizing downside, while also making sure you can allocate enough customer support so you can give your 3PL a heads up when orders are going to be coming through, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now, the end result of this video is going to be a forecast, and what you'll have is a forecast for each channel for November, so you know what you should be spending each day, your expected results for each day, every critical metric for your channel on each day, and you'll ultimately have a great idea of what your end profit should be for the month of November and December. And then you'll also be able to know if something goes wrong and how you can quickly fix it. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, if you've never used this sheet before, this is the linear efficiency seasonal forecast. I think this is the second version. We do have a third version coming out that's going to shake this up quite a bit, but this is already very good for most brands at the moment. Just a quick overview of how this works. You upload a year of historical data for the channels you want to project for. Most brands have two key channels they use, typically Meta and Google. Some, it might be TikTok. Here we have Google, a year of daily historicals, and Meta, a day of yearly historicals, along with the last 30 days of data. And then we also have a bunch of cost metrics added so we can kind of calculate contribution, break even, all that good stuff. Okay. Now, if you're like, okay, I don't know how to get my data, I don't know how to get this in here, it's all right. Check out the Start Here tab. There's videos on how to upload your data and how to get this working. Okay. Now let's actually talk strategy in forecasting for Q4 and really for November specifically. So the first step here is to really understand what went on last year. This forecast uses your daily historicals from the previous year, plus the last 30 days of data for a recency bias. Now, if you ran sales on a particular day last year, you just need to be aware of, hey, when did marketing material go out? When did emails go out? When did ads go live? When did things actually get messaged? When did sales go live? What were those offers, etc.? And you need to line that up with this year and understand, hey, are we doing the same things? What do we do different this year from last year? Are we sending different emails at different times? You really just want to look at your marketing activity year over year and say, okay, looking at the calendar, what happened when, and what are we doing different this year, right? Because this model will blend what you did this year into a daily basis. And so you want to account for that, okay? So if you're running the exact same sales at the exact same times and sending the same messages you did last year as this year, this forecast will be extremely accurate. Obviously, when you're doing a different offer, doing a different sale, you have messaging going out on different days than you did last year, you need to adjust for that in this forecast. But it's designed to do that, and I'll walk you through this. So the very first thing is to understand, hey, what is your objective for Q4 this year? Is it maximizing revenue or new customer revenue or net profit or maybe 90-day net profit? What is the objective, right? If you're a supplement brand, if you're a subscription-based brand, you're probably going to be optimizing for a 90-day contribution margin. If you're a brand that realizes most of your customers' value on first order, you're probably going to be optimizing for just contribution or first order contribution, which is first order profit essentially. If you're a brand that's well funded and you're just trying to blow up those numbers, and then maybe you're going for a new customer revenue optimization or just a revenue optimization, okay? Most brands are going to probably be focused on a 90-day net profit or a first order net profit. So in this example, let's say we're going for a first order net profit. Maybe we're an apparel brand and our customers don't come back very often because we're very specialty and most of our value is realized in first order. So in this case, we want to optimize for contribution, right? So we can see here, given our spend, we'll have a different level of efficiency. And again, you can do ROAS or NER in this forecast. It just depends what numbers you plug in. And, if we spend 9,800 a day on average, this will maximize our net profit. So for the month, we should have around 500K in net profit here. So this gives you a good idea of kind of your baseline blended spend that you should be looking at for November, right? And so this gives you, a really good kind of ground level for that. But the next question you need to ask yourself is, hey, in general, is our ad account more or less efficient this year? Year over year, how's it looking? And this is where we add in our efficiency multiplier. So this is the first thing we're going to change on this forecast is, in general, are your ads on Meta more or less efficient? And you can look at your ROAS year over year on a click basis and see what the delta is there. You can look at your MER if you want to do this more on a blended level and see where your efficiency lies. In this example, maybe we're saying, hey, our click ROAS on Meta is 15% more efficient. In general, we can also see that Our MER reflects this. So we're going to add in a 15% efficiency multiplier here to reflect that we are a bit more efficient this year, maybe from more creative testing or some other marketing activities. If you have lower efficiency or MER is lower, or maybe your click-through ROAS is lower, then you can have a negative efficiency here, which will affect your ROAS proportionally. But change this to reflect year-to-date. How are things looking? What's the delta on your efficiency? Okay. The next multiplier we're going to add to adjust this forecast is your recency bias. And recency bias just takes into account any set of 30 days of data. So you can add in whatever group of 30 days of data that you want. Typically, you're going to add in the last 30 days to give it, again, a bit of recency bias. For November, typically recency bias doesn't make a lot of sense because October and all the months leading up are typically very unlike November. In some cases, you can add something like if you ran a sale similar to November in another month of the year, you can add that data in as your recency bias. So let's say maybe you ran a really interesting Mother's Day sale in February, and you want to reflect that in your November forecast, and you ran a very similar sale in that month. Then you go ahead and take that 30 days of data, if you ran a similar sale, and add it into your data tab here, and actually add in a little bit of recency bias into that. So maybe you could add in a 20% or however similar you think that month will be to November based on the sale that you ran and based on the sort of messaging you did. And this will give you a completely different outcome here. Okay. But again, I'd only recommend that if for the year sale or similar offer that you're going to be running during November or December. Okay. So for now, we're just going to leave that blank because maybe we did not actually run a similar offer. So now we get into the daily expectation level, and we're going to select our spend goal here, which we want to maximize first order net profit or first order contribution. And so this will give us a daily spend goal of 9,800. Now this is going to essentially put this over the days of the month and take into account a day of week effect, which is just looking at which days are weighted more heavily. And again, this is where you need to add in a lot of manual inputs. This is a different year than the previous year. It's an election year. We have an election on the 5th. There's some other things going on during the month. So it's going to be a bit different. We have interest rate changes that are quite a bit different from last year. There's different things happening in the world, right? So all these things will have an effect here. And this is where forecasting gets into a sort of estimation or trying to make your best guess at how this year is going to go. No forecast can give you a 100% answer. So you have to put in some manual inputs and some estimations based on what you're seeing. So if you line up your marketing calendar and it looks, again, the exact same as last year, then go ahead, keep this as is. But if you're running sales on different days, you have emails going out at different times, you're going to want to put in some adjustments here. So this is where we want to start entering our expectation on a daily level and how we think it will differ from this forecast. So for example, if we're thinking that for the election, the 1st through 5th are going to be a lot drier in terms of demand, a lot drier in terms of spend, then we should adjust the forecast accordingly and allocate that budget later in the month. So we can add in the day, and then we can add in the percent change. Maybe it's negative 50%. And also the demand change, maybe it's 25% is what we're thinking here. And this will adjust our forecast accordingly. So we can adjust that spend down and have it lower. You can do that for each day of the month, adding in when you think things are going to be a bit lower, when you think things are going to be a bit higher. Maybe you have some emails going out on the 12th. So we can actually add in maybe a plus 50% here, right? And this will give you a really good estimate of what the month should look like. So what we're doing is we're going through each day of the month and we're saying, hey, what's happening on the worldview? What's happening on a macro level that might affect CPMs, that might affect us? Let's put an estimated spend change, demand change, AOV change, and cost change in for that. And what days are our marketing messages going out? When are we sending SMS? When are we sending email? When are our offer ads going live? We're going to probably have an increase on spend in those days. We're probably going to have an increase in demand on those days. So for each day, we're adding an adjustment manually based on that marketing calendar and based on our expectation for the macro events. And so with that, you can have a really good view and a really nice daily forecast on a per channel level. And you can also do this on a blended level if you're focused on metrics like MER. You don't want to look at a per channel basis because maybe you have a strong halo effect or a lot of interaction between channels. All right. So again, this is kind of the activity we're doing here. And if you're saying, hey, I have no idea how much to adjust spend or demand on a given day, I don't know what the effect will be on this. Again, just look at historicals. If you send out a particular offer email through email and you saw a ROAS change in ads, look at your historicals. What happened after you send out an offer email? Did your ROAS change in the next 24 hours? No, did it? Okay, that will give you a good baseline. Maybe you've had other macro events. If there is some other big macro event that happened while you're running ads, did you see a reduction in spend or demand? Again, you can kind of look at historical data and kind of piece together, hey, what was our delta here when this happened? What happened when we put our offer ads up? Did our ROAS change? Did our revenue change? We can add in a multiplier based off those historical little data points, piecing together a total forecast, okay? And what's important here isn't necessarily if this is 100% accurate, because it's not going to be 100% accurate. But what's important is having a game plan and a daily expectation for what you want to happen, so that when something goes wrong, you can say, hey, we were supposed to spend this much today and we were off by $3,000. We need to do something ASAP. We need to send a last minute SMS, a last minute email. We need to up the offer a little bit, right? These are things you can do to make sure that if you're happy with this forecast's outcome, if you're happy with this contribution goal and you want to hit that, and you're seeing a few days of misses, you know that you need to take action in order to hit your goal. You need to do some last minute changes to ads, offer, email, SMS, whatever, in order to make something happen. Okay. So it's more about having a plan of action than being 100% accurate. Okay. So after you fill out this based off that marketing calendar and those macro events on a per channel basis and or on a blended basis, again, if you are focused on more of a blended marketing spend level, then what you can do is just monitor that and make sure you're hitting those goals and adjust accordingly as you go. And so when you put in those different metrics and we actually look at that channel, then you can pull in a nice dashboard here to get a better view of, day by day, what should things be looking like. Okay. So that's about it for this video. Really just wanted to go through how you can use this forecast to build an expectation for each channel, how you can actually have those manual adjustments added, and how to kind of think about daily forecasting and trying to get this as accurate as possible. And again, I'll just reiterate that it's more about having a game plan than it is about being 100% accurate. You just want to be able to know when something goes wrong and when you're going off track so that you can go in and fix it. Okay. And obviously, when you put your sales in and you put your big spend jumps in, you put your big demand jumps in, you can have your team be aware that, hey, we expect things are going to be a little bit different, and hopefully save some cost and maximize some profit through that. All right. So let me know if you have any questions. If you need any help with setup on this, don't be afraid to send me a message. I will respond and I will help you out. We want to make sure everyone can get their forecast set up and they can have at least some sort of plan for the month. And, as long as you go through your previous data, you think methodically about what's happening on each day, you're going to have an accurate forecast and you're going to have a fantastic November and Q4. All right. That's it for this video. Enjoy.